Hey, Natasha, John Malanca here with you, my colleague and dear friend, Natasha Trenev, the mother of probiotics. Here's a topic. First off, hi, Natasha.
Hello. It's so good to see you. Look at
Oh,
those
oh,
explosions behind you.
I wish I could say this is the basketball, but it's a bloody thing that I'm not a fan of. Cancer. Cancer is something that does not discriminate. Doesn't matter what your background is, what your lifestyle is in most cases. Who you are, if you're wealthy, or poor, cancer does not discriminate. And unfortunately, it will affect all of us in one way or another, if it's ourself, our loved one, our colleagues, our coworkers, etc. So our hearts and prayers go out to anyone that's battling this awful cell malfunction. I lost my wife to pancreatic cancer, and so this is a topic that I don't want to say is near and dear to me, but it's a topic that I don't mind sharing the knowledge that I've learned pre and post Corinne passing. So, but the topic: cancer, exposing the lies, understanding the causes, and taking control of your health. Who better to talk about this than Natasha Trenev? Why don't you take a handle of this, because this topic comes up quite a bit. People don't realize everything stems from the gut, our immune system, ailments, mold, fungus,
Right.
which all can lead to dis-ease in the body. And unfortunately, much of that dis-ease is that cell malfunction I was talking about, cancer. And so please share.
Right. This could be really a 3-hour course.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say, the lies are that, you're genetically guilty or your genes are guilty. Well, let me just quote my 3 favorite fellows, Dr. Bruce Lipton, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden. I follow what they say, that genes do not cause anything because they're blueprints. You have to switch on and off genes. So if you are unfortunate enough to switch on the wrong gene, and it's not going to be possibly the trigger, because it's an accumulation of toxins in your body that cause a continual inflammation that starts suppressing the immune system, which is primed to and geared to detect a defective cell production, which cancer is.
Yeah.
Now, there was a very famous doctor who used to head the World Health Organization, who passed many years ago, Dr. Constantini. His theory was, and he was banned to speak about it with there was 3 of them, and 2 of his were fellows from Germany. And their point was that cancer was caused by fungal overgrowth, which many of you don't know, that fungus can become a mold in the body that can certainly suppress your immune function. And bingo, we have the production of defective proteins, which means you're going to get disease. So let's look at the points that we have right now. Cancer is a disease where your body starts producing cheap proteins, and your immune cells are overly suppressed to recognize the defective proteins and get rid of them so that the body stops producing them. It's as simple as that. And so what we have to say, how do you take control of your health? Well, we have a lot of things in our environment. To quote Bobby Kennedy Jr., we have over 10,000 chemicals in our food, which was also cited by Dr. Casey Means and her brother, Callie Means. And so we know that there's a ton of chemicals in our food, in our soil, in our air, that's affecting our body. When our body has to deal with all these, what I call non-helpful entities that we are ingesting on a daily basis, it causes something we call inflammation. And most people don't know what inflammation really is. And here's the simplistic answer. Inflammation is your immune cells attacking the cellular structure in the body that it perceives as defective, and it needs to get rid of it in order to save the body from dying, basically. That's a very simplistic quotation about inflammation, but most people say, oh, inflammation. Well, just think about when you hits something, it turns red, or immune system forms a protective barrier. That's its primary function, to get rid of defective cells to protect the body from getting a disease. And when you take that to the umpteenth number, which means that the immune system now is attacking everything because it's so aggravated. And there is pretty good data. I'm not the medical doctor that presented this, but there's medical doctors. The most recent one, Dr. Patrick Soon Shihong, who said that the spike protein is responsible for stimulating the suppression of immune cells, which is your killer and T cells that allow cancer to form in various parts of your body. And so that's basically what it is. And what we have been saying, that when you have spike proteins in your body, whether it's from the vaccine or long haul COVID, or however you might have ingested the spike proteins, it literally kills all the bifidobacteria in your large intestine. That's the data we have so far. But based on my 55 years of experience, I would say it's other bacteria in your small intestine as well that's being destroyed. And these bacteria, the bifidobacteria and the lactobacilli in the small intestine, have an intimate communication pathway with your immune cells. Depending on whose data you want to believe, about 70 to 80% of your immune function is on that intestinal wall. And if that crosstalk is not adequate between the immune cells and the microbiota, you're going to have suppression. Suppression means the immune cells are suppressed. T cells and killer cells cannot be activated to do their job, and hence you have disease. And I think, just to end this portion of it, then we'll talk more when we have the first three questions, is that we're seeing a very disturbing trend of colon cancer and pancreatic cancer in young people as young as 8, 9, 10, 13, which is unheard of. So
unheard of. I mean, people don't realize that. I mean, that number is growing. You know, men, for some reason, it's one out of every two men will have some sort of type of cancer in their lifetime, and 1 out of 3. And that number is growing, and it's not just men and women, it's children now, as you were just mentioning. And that's alarming.
Yeah. So, let's get to our first question. And so why are the cancer rates rising in young people? Exactly for that. Young people should have a boisterous, very sophisticated immune response to anything that comes across. Well, if you believe what Dr. Shihong is saying, that the suppression of killer cell activity and T cell activity, especially in young people who have been vaccinated or have been exposed to the spike protein, is suppressing the vital activity of these two factors of the immune system to help suppress cancer growth. And for whatever reason, the weakness is now in the colon or large intestine, or in the pancreas. And I believe it happens in the pancreas because the pancreas reduces the amount of blood sugar available in the blood. And most pathogens and yeast want a sugar for themselves. And that's why America has an addiction to sugar, because these organisms actually stimulate your desire to have more of it because they want it. So I believe it's the diet that we're giving to our children, the exposure to unnecessary vaccination, and I underline the word unnecessary, the fact that some vaccines may have toxins like mercury and aluminum in them, and the fact that the children are eating foods that are loaded with toxins, including glyphosate, which is a potent antibiotic. And then you add the spike protein to this mix, and it completely shuts down the immune system's ability to deal with what we call cheap proteins that it has to build every minute of the day to replace the cellular structure of your body.
Wow. If that doesn't hit home. And so I know you were going to talk, I was wondering if you're going to slip in the spike protein portion. You want to just go right into that? Yeah,
right. So then the second thing is, what is causing this cancer epidemic and what's the connection between COVID and cancer? Well, to quote Dr. Xiong, he says it's a non-infectious epidemic. In other words, it's not being passed down from person to person. We're all experiencing the same suppression, the suppressor cells in our immune system that are suppressing T cell and killer cell activity that's allowing the cancers to form, and the immune system is completely oblivious that this is happening right under its nose. So the spike protein, I think, was the catalyst here. The fact that our immune system was already compromised with the food, the air, and the water that we're exposed to here in the United States, and the fact that we have 80% chronically ill adults and about 60% chronically ill children. And by the way, the connection between autism and cancer, we have to research. I'm going to an autism conference and I want to find out what the connection there is. But the fact is that the autistic rate is not declining. We are still heading to 1 in 2 children in 5 years, which is 2030. I've been talking about this now for multiple years, and people are not paying attention. So what can I offer you from my vast knowledge of 55 years in this industry? I can just tell you, you have to get the right species of bifidobacteria. You have to include it into your dietary intake on a daily basis. It has to be able to survive stomach acid. It has to be able to be bile tolerant, and it has to reach your large intestine. Every industry right now, in my humble opinion, is corrupt in the United States, including the dietary supplement industry. And it's too serious of a time in our history to be sold products that a marketing machine thinks up and tells you this probiotic is going to handle this condition, it's going to handle this condition. Let me just assure you, I've only included 3 bifidobacteria ever in my whole entire product line in 44 years. And that's the Bifidobacterium bifidum, the Bifidobacterium infantis. In fact, I was the first one to introduce infantis to the US. And now I'm adding the Bifidobacteria longum. Call our office, talk to our people. We have new products, new information. Be very selective as to who you believe and what probiotic you put in your body, because many people are selling now probiotics that can inhibit bifidobacteria, which is not a smart thing to do, because probiotic bacteria were not here to suppress symptoms. They're here to enhance the ecosystem in our 27 feet of digestive tract, both in the small and the large intestine. So this is a time for you to take logical steps and to really make a sound decision. Who are you going to listen to? Because this is not about a sales pitch. It's not about marketing. We need to get as much feedback as possible because we have a lot of people's lives at stake, and we need to get to the bottom of what's the holistic treatment in order to help people deal with all these challenges we're facing.
I sent a lot of patients your way to your office, and what comes across my desk is a lot of patients battling with, I'll say it, long haul COVID side effects. And I learned this from the doctors that you work with, that they're using Healthy Trinity and Healthy Start 2 in combination with these patients. And are you confident to talk about that? Or are you allowed? I know we can't. Yeah. I tippy-toe on it because I know you can't make claims and you can't, but I do know the doctors that you're working with, because I work with them, many of them, and they are incorporating your protocols with their patients who, one, long haul COVID, but also and this is from pediatric to geriatric, but also to anyone that's battling ailments, prevention, or if you, God forbid, you're going through it, using this to help with bacteria, mold, toxins, et cetera, in the body. And so can you touch up on that?
Sure. The 2 products that the particular doctor I am working with is LifeStart 2 in goat's milk formula. And I have a new product in our professional division, which I have allowed for the first time people to sell in our Natren division, which is called Trenev Duo. It's a phenomenal product that includes Bifidobacteria infantis and Bifidobacteria longum in our unique delivery system, which ensures 100% survival through stomach acid for well over an hour, and bile tolerance, which will give you the ultimate results. And we also have recommendations by other doctors to use our Healthy Trinity along with the Lifestart 2 for systemic, holistic uplifting of our whole microbiota content in our small and large intestine. So if you're a little bit confused by this, no worries. You can call our office. We actually have live people there, have worked with me for more than 20 years. And there's 3 of them. And they're always there, happy to help you. You can call the 866 number and the number 4, and then the word spelled out Natren. I would say that you start taking care of your health, stop eating processed foods, stop drinking alcohol, even be careful when you're consuming raw foods, because there's a lot of background bacteria now in these raw foods that have become resistant because the use of pesticides, which are really very toxic, potent antibiotics. So we have a number of problems, and we're here to help you because we don't sell vitamin D, C, or anything else. We just sell specific strains of probiotic bacteria that we have made specifically to survive stomach acid, bile, shipping, storage, and handling. It's so important that you know who's selling you bacteria, because bacteria are smarter than we are. And everybody who's selling a probiotic product has to have extensive knowledge in order to make them safe and effective.
Can you repeat that number again?
1-866, the number 4, and then you spell out the word Natren, Natren. You can ask for Carolyn, Susan, or Faye. They're all there. They'll be happy to help you. And let's, get this message out. That's only one of the criteria to help you get your health back. Of course, omitting processed foods, alcohol, making sure the water is in glass and not in plastics. We've talked about the dangers of microplastics. There's a number of issues that seem difficult, but it's not difficult if you just use common sense.
Common sense. Well, we can end on that one. And my health depends on your products, and I appreciate that all you do. And I've shared that numerous times on our show here. And so, again, if anybody has any questions, reach out to Natasha, Susan, Carolyn, or Faye, 1-866-4 Natren, Natren, and wealth of information. Natasha's been doing this for coming up to 6 decades. She's had Natasha and her husband Jordan have had Natren Probiotics for 43 and a half years,
now, yeah.
24 years. And so keep going. And I plan on never stopping your products as well. So thank you, Natasha, for everything. And thank you for our audience for submitting this question as well. And we'll see you next week on another show. Have a great day.